Hey, what's going on, card fighters? I'm here with John, Josh, and myself, Matt, and we're gonna do a kind of a deck profile slash discussion for Brawlers. I know the deck's been out for a while now, probably seen a bunch of different builds. We're just gonna kind of talk about it all. Anyways, it's really John's deck, so John started off.
Personally, I feel that Spark Kid Dragon in the Brawler build is ideal. Counterblast 1, check the top 5 for a grade 3. Simply for the fact that we want to hit.
And I kind of agree with John there on that. You don't really have a lot of options in the Brawler deck. I mean, there's a good Eradicator one. Obviously, you're gonna run Brawlers. Draco Kid is really good. I think because a lot of your deck is retiring the front row. He's just gonna hit that back row unit, which is nice. Josh, do you have anything to add on Draco Kid, or do you like grade 3 Searcher?
I mean, the grade 3 Searcher works best with any persona. I mean, you're trying to get as many chances of that grade 3 as possible. Draco Kid, I mean, he fits in a deck that you're maybe trying to derive your pressure from your rear guards. You use all the 1s and 2s that power up based on the number of retired units in, one turn. But other than that, I think your top 5 Searcher is your best bet, as most people run it. So.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be it for grade 0s as far as how good they're going to work. So let's move on to grade 3s.
We have the big boss here, Big Bang Knuckle Buster, very controversial. While he's in Legion, Counterblast 1 and choose a unit with Big Bang Knuckle in its name. That can include himself or the other grade 3 that cross-rides him, Big Bang Knuckle Dragon.
And how many of you are running each there, John?
I'm running 3.
Are you running 4 and 4, or?
I'm running 3 and 3 to give me a little room for another grade 3, the Brawler Shotgun Blow Dragon that came out in Fighters Collection.
I actually like Shotgun Blow. I think the deck can gain a lot of power with its rear guards by retiring. Obviously have this one, which gains a ton of power when you're attacking all those units. Shotgun Blow adds the crit where the deck lacks an actual crit. It gains a lot of power, but sometimes a lot of power isn't going to push you over the top. This is good. I think John usually likes to start off with it, and I agree with John there. Josh?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not running 4 and 4 the personas. That's going to weaken you a little bit if you're not trying to
on the control aspect, though.
Yeah, I mean, you're not getting the 4, or maybe you're trying to start off with him. I do like him a lot. I mean, I like a sure thing. I think teched in at 1 to 2 is always good, but I think if you're running persona, you have to run 4 of each persona to maximize. I mean, you hit 4 units every turn out, your opponent's just going to be depressed the whole game. Nobody can deal with their field being hit every turn. It's just, it devastates hand, it devastates morale, damage zone, everything. So.
Kind of an honorable mention. Wild Rush, I don't see a lot of decks running him. He could come as a surprise. Obviously, you have to drive check something that's on the Vanguard circle, so it's nice that you have that extra chance to get like another trigger. Again, it's not consistent enough. John, you play with it. How much do you like it?
I have to say, trying Wild Rush Dragon and as well as the Aqua Force grade 3 that reads virtually the same way. You just simply need to reveal a unit that's on the Vanguard circle. Even while test playing and watching others play, very seldom do I see that effect ever hit. And for the most part, my opponent will let it go through, assuming that it won't hit, even at 4 damage.
It's too gimmicky. I mean, late game maybe, after you've circled through, if you run a lot of draw, maybe a lot of Phoenixes and pitch draws, ways to filter through the deck, so maybe you can maximize the amount of chances of hitting the effect, but you'd have to gear it towards that unit, and it would take away from the other MVP 3s that you already run. So it's good, not great. I mean, a break right I think would be better, but that's beside the point.
Next, on to grade 2s. We have 3 of the mate for Shotgun Blow, Military Brawler Leslie here. Gains plus 3,000 while your Vanguard is in Legion for every rear guard that goes to the drop zone on your opponent's field. Very beneficial off of Big Bang Knuckle as you swing against 4 units.
I like the card. I think it's going to be, I don't see him out there a lot when I'm playing John. Obviously, it's going to be a huge column, but again, it's kind of going to be inconsistent if you're not hitting your effects on your grade 3s. Another 2 that maybe you could run in place. He's a little more consistent, or at least you don't have to retire, but your 12Ks, it's all the 12Ks are pretty good. As long as you have a Brawler, obviously in your Vanguard circle, all run Brawlers. Everybody likes to run 12Ks. It's just more consistent. You only have to lay down one card to hit their Vanguard instead of, I didn't get to retire you, and now I can't swing at your Vanguard if I don't have a booster.
Well, let me see that card. 12Ks are always more consistent because you're going to start off with them. But when you hit 4 units and your unit gets plus 12, it wouldn't be plus 12, it'd be plus 6.
Plus 9.
Or 9, if I could do math. It's an 18. Heaven forbid you have the grade 1 behind it that's also gaining power. Your opponent's probably going to let the Vanguard swing through just because of fear of the high numbers and what criticals, what triggers, let the Vanguard swing so that way any criticals go on your Vanguard. They don't have to, they can let the higher swings through maybe. I don't know. I think I like the rear guard pressure. It's just the deck needs to kind of pressure from all angles. It needs it more than it needs the consistency of being able to attack that 12K.
On to the rest of the grade 2 lineup. We have the mate for Big Bang Dragon. Slash Dragon here gains a plus 3,000 when the attack hits. It has been ruled when the attack hits, it only gains the plus 3 now, no longer stacking. Wouldn't be a 4 of if it wasn't the mate.
I guess the ruling kind of just makes it meh. I don't really have a lot to add. I mean, obviously it's a mate, you need to run it. Do you run 4? I might run 3.
I think you can get away with 3 just because you seek it out. And it's not crucial to be on rear guard circle necessarily. So.
And another grade 2 that might come in when your Vanguard Legions retire a unit in the front row. I think that's really going to help with, this card, I just think that it does so much retiring in the front row. This is another option you have just in case.
Well,
but
I feel with a Big Bang Knuckle, when you attack the 4 units, it's more beneficial to hit the back 3 plus the Vanguard. So when you Legion by hitting a front row and then you crippling the back row, it's it's gonna get you boost to your rear guards. It's a free cost effect just for performing Legion.
how do you like it, John? How do you like that card?
I have to say, since you can place it before you go into Legion, it's very great. It works well with the grade 0. And taking out an entire column.
Yeah, it's not a bad play, I guess, if you're trying to.
Kind of just depends on which one you have. I know you have the Vanguard that attacks the whole front row, which obviously is not going to work with.
Unfortunately, in this build, he simply doesn't have the room.
Yeah.
Or I simply don't have the room. Up next, 4 of the mate for Big Bang Knuckle Buster, Brawler Big Bang Slash Buster. While you have the Big Bang Knuckle Buster or Knuckle Dragon on your Vanguard circle, he gains a plus 2,000 while attacking. At 11k while attacking, let alone his secondary skill, just like Brawler Dragon here, gains a plus 3,000 for every unit that is hit.
I like it. It's solid pressure card. Pleasant to mate. You have it at 4 of. It's good. It's good all around.
Yeah, it's going to be 4 of pretty much in every Brawler deck. I don't think there's much can be said about that card. Or not enough can be said about that card.
Up next to grade 1s, we have, let's call her Tonfa Brawler Arc.
Sorry, move the camera.
This card, this is the best card in the deck, at least in my opinion. Every time I see this card, I don't like it. I mean, it just how much power does that get? And it's just a booster unit. I mean, it's hard to retire that card, and it just keeps getting more power and more power and more power.
Keep it behind your rear guards. After Big Bang Knuckle hits, plus 9k. Almost guaranteed every time if the opponent has the field. What a great boosting unit.
Yeah, it's completely solid. There's no reason not to run 4. It's just a great card. So, moving on.
Yes, the ones in the Brawler deck, it's kind of hard to just argue against. I mean, you can fudge up some quantities, but I think you got to run 4 of him. Kind of just depends here on the rest of the build.
Since we are trying to Persona Blast into Big Bang Knuckle Dragon, I like to run 2 of Threatening Brawler Kame. He simply pitch draws when he's placed on rear guard as long as your opponent only has 1 unit in the rear guard circle.
You're obviously retiring it after you hit that effect multiple times, but I do like it at 2 because it's going to get cloggy near the end of the game. If you don't have any counter blast and can't retire a unit.
It's 6 of one, half dozen of another. It's good. I don't like the cost of the effect. The timing, I guess, sometimes cannot be met. You know, you do pay a lot of opponents that may have to rush you early. Obviously, you know, general strategy against Narukami is hide the rear guard as long as you can. Try to weaken their effects or make them kind of useless. But pitch draws are always solid. Yeah, it's good. It's good, not great. I'm not a fan.
Up next, we have Rising Phoenix here at 2 of. Soul Blast 2 and draw a card. As we are in Legion, we are going to have the extra soul. It very beneficial. We do need the draw, as we do want, again, the cross-ride unit.
Yeah, no arguments here. You're going to have soul in this deck just because nothing else soul blasts. You need to draw. You need to draw your 3s.
I like it too. Again, I would go to 3. Maybe cut out one of your other grade 1 there.
Pitch drawers.
Yeah, your pitch drawer, and then sub in something else for that, something that you're not running at max card value.
The big debate would be the difference between 7k and a 5k.
Yeah,
but I think you're getting some power with your other 2s. I'm sorry.
Yeah, with the grade 2s that are going to gain the plus 3s and whatnot. Yeah, the bad boost isn't going to be the greatest, but to get the Persona, that's the point of the deck, is to attack the 4 units as many times as possible. And that's kind of, you're not going to run draw triggers, you're probably going to run heavy crit triggers, but we'll get to that in a second anyway.
Not only as a rear guard, but even riding a Vanguard, Rising Phoenix at 5k, you leave yourself very vulnerable.
You're right. At the first ride, that is a bad ride. And you're probably going to have to take that damage because the 10k guard's not going to do you very good. But you run a Counterblast 1 top 5 searcher anyway, so you take that first damage 9 times out of 10. So you have that first Counterblast. Moving on to PGs, it looks like.
We have 2 perfect guards, as well as 2 quintet walls for Brawler.
I actually like the quintet walls on the Brawlers, obviously. It has the name. Your perfect guards don't have the name because they're Eradicator. I know they have a generic one. The deck is counterblast heavy. John's not... His trigger lineup isn't running a lot of draws, and I think this is really going to help you guarding.
Yeah, quintets, I like them, I don't like them. What I like most is the ability to get through your deck faster, and so when you hit those later legions, you can get critical cards back in. However, this deck kind of doesn't like to re-legion. You sit on your 1 grade 3, and you keep Persona. He's cross-ridden, which is great, gives good block value, but you're not circulating cards back into the deck, so maybe just 1 quintet for cost and effectiveness, and 3 PGs, but it depends. I guess you need the special counterblast for Brawler effects, possibly, and 2 and 2 is not terrible.
Last but not least, on the grade 1s, we have 2 10k swingers.
Yeah, that's gonna be standard.
Yeah, like I said, maybe you go 3 Phoenix and 3 10k instead of your 2 pitch drawers. I just don't like them in that one. If they had the rest this unit pitch draw, I believe Eradicator do, but that's an Eradicator, not a Brawler. So, I just don't like the pitch drawer. I like the 10k swinger. You want, to try to get as much attacks off, at least the 10k swinger is going to pick off any rear guard stands grade 3 that they put at rear guard circle. So,
and last but not least, let's go on the trigger lineup here. I don't know what most people like to run. John does like to run 8 critical triggers here. How do you feel about that, John?
Personally, I feel every Legion deck should be running 12 critical triggers because of how often most decks Legion. With that said, this deck, again, doesn't Legion as often. Hitting those critical triggers, you're not really banking on it.
And you can get plus critical with your 1 grade 3, right? So the critical, it's always a threat. Obviously, I think you have to at least run 4. But I agree with running draws, no stands. Well, actually, stands could work in this deck. It's just you don't see any stands in the current meta. Draws because you need the personas, but you're right. I think 8 critical it keeps that threat alive. Plus, you have double? Do you have double brawler? You have double brawler crit, yeah. So that's always good.
4 draw, obviously to make room for the 4 heal. With the draws, and I would run more personally. I run 6 and 6. Again, gotta get those grade 3s in your hand. Gotta put them in your soul. Gotta get those extra attacks off. And I think, it gets to the point where that final push is you're gonna get big numbers, and I guess getting that critical trigger is important. But if you're not blowing up their field, your deck's not doing what it's gonna do. You need those draws, personally. John?
I have to agree with you. Running 2 of 2, trying to throw your opponent off. Although running the extra grade 1s, the pitch draws, as well as the soul blast draws, I feel it somewhat evens it out. I do have crit pressure from the shotgun blow. I was running the draw triggers before, and 6 and 6. Again, 12 critical triggers in a Legion deck, minimum, I feel. Just doesn't have the room.
Do you agree with the draw, or do you like more draw?
8-4-4 or 6-6-4, I think it's splitting hairs, really. Because he doesn't run 4 and 4 of the personas, maybe run 6 draw. I love shotgun too much. I would maybe actually, go heavy grade 3, cut 1 grade 2 and 1 grade 1 out, just so you can run 2 extra grade 2.
So you can go 10 grade.
Instead of 10 grade.
I think that'd be fun.
You're making up for potential lack of early swing because your effects are going to get rid of their rear guards. So it's I like the guaranteed effect of shotgun blast, but if you're running persona, I think you have to commit to persona. So 6 draws, I think, in this deck, but if you're running 4 and 4, 4 draws are good.
Let's see. And obviously the most controversial trigger, the 4 heals. I mean, who runs those anymore?
Yeah, not necessary.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the deck profile discussion. Tell us what you think. If you have any extra talking points, go ahead and put them in the comment section below. Thanks, guys.